Welcome to Boss Up. Get ready to elevate your game with your dynamic hosts. First up, we have the visionary powerhouse, Dan D. Johnson, who's a failure transformation expert and a financial literacy and business coach with a wealth of knowledge to help you scale and grow. And joining him is the inspiring and charismatic Shada Amour, your corporate expert and life coach, ready to share insights on leveling up your life and relationships. Together, they'll guide you on a journey to unleash your potential and boss up. Now, welcome Shada Amour and Dan D. Johnson.
There you go.
What's up? Welcome. We are on day 4 of Boss Up Marathon.
Listen, this has been a marathon. It is wearing me out.
It is wearing him out. At least he's in, I think, a better space today. Because yesterday, maybe that just he was having problems. But we're not even gonna talk about that because we have someone really important today hanging out with us. Dan, who do we have?
Listen, I am super pumped. I told y'all yesterday I am super excited. There's 5 essential relationships you got to have in business, and we've been walking through those relationships all week. One relationship you got to have in business is you got to have a relationship with your accountant. The next one, you got to have a great relationship with somebody that can like with credit and being able to leverage credit and have credit. But in part, in that, you got to have a relationship with a banker. If you don't have a relationship with your bank, if you don't have a relationship with your banker, it becomes difficult to have a sense of consistency and stability while you're seeking to scale. And today, we got a few moments, y'all. We got a few moments. Go and bring them to the stage. This is my personal lender, commercial lender, none other than Doctor. I'm calling him Doctor. I normally say Apostle. Paul, Paul from First Merchants Bank. And so we're super excited to have you with us on Boss Up. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing good, Dan. And more. Nice to see you guys here.
Great
It's funny
to see
want to call
you.
me the doctor. I've had a lot of nicknames in my nearly 40 years in banking, but most people end up calling me the professor.
The
The
professor.
professor. And you
Okay.
know what? Listen, Paul and I are going to come back one day, and we're going to give a testimony of some stuff where he definitely had to be the professor, but he was God's professor. He was God sent in making some stuff happen. And you got to have people. We were sitting at a closing table the other day, and we were having a conversation. And Paul stated that the reason we were sitting at that table is because he believed in me and he believed in the vision and our ability to get it done. So,
Wow.
so you got to have a banker that's willing to sit at the table, that believes in you, believes in the vision, embraces the vision and your ability to get it done, and they will go to fight for you. And that's what Paul did. But it's not about me. It's not about Paul personally. It's about you, the listening audience that is listening to us today. And we want to, we asked Paul to come to talk about how important, let's ask this question. How important, Paul, is it to have a relationship with your banker, a relationship with um, a bank that's within the community?
Well, I think generally for most people, it's really critical. Some folks, for a variety of reasons, maybe things are real easy and they've already got a lot of cash flow and other means and resources, and they can get along without that. But really, if you are an entrepreneur, you're starting a business or you have a business and you're wanting to grow that business, you're going to need to know somebody and have a relationship with somebody that shares that vision with you and that wants to help you grow, and where your fortunes are tied together. I tell my customers all the time, and they sometimes think I'm kidding. I say what's good for the bank is good for the borrower, and they kind of think that I'm being silly there. But what that really means is our interests are the same. You want to grow, you want to make more money. that means you need to leverage. You need to have some credit from time to time. You need to have good good returns on your deposits, et cetera. Guess what? The bank wants to grow. The bank wants to have more customers. We want to have more outstanding loans. We want to have more deposits. Our interests are aligned perfectly. If you're successful, we're going to be successful. And so it's really true when I say that. And so when I work with a client, I try to help them understand how they can. I tell them my job is to put you in a place where you can essentially write your own ticket. In other words, if I'm doing my job over time, my business owners, my clients, they're going to be able to go to any bank they want to. Any bank you could find anywhere, and they're going to be bankable. They're going to know what it takes. They're going to know what they need to do. They're going to understand cash flow. They're going to understand collateral. They don't have to be bankers, but they need to know enough to know when they're hearing it straight from their banker, and they need to know enough to use leverage properly, not be over leveraged, but to grow and to get where they want to go.
So what are some of the products that you feel like if I'm in business or I'm just starting business, like what are some of the bank products that would be important for me to be able to ask a banker, like, hey, I need this. I'm just starting this business. This is what I need. What are those things?
Those are some pretty basic things, right? Obviously, you need some sort of deposit account. That's going to be critical. What's maybe not so obvious are some of the tag-alongs that go with that deposit account, and that's where the treasury management operations of the bank comes in. So you want to be able to make sure you've got that the bank that you're working with has the tools that will help you maximize your cash flow, collect your money faster, manage the outflow precisely, the outflow of funds. So that's where the treasury management things come in, your online banking, ACH origination capabilities, wire transfer capabilities. If those things apply to you, it depends on the type of business you have, but you'd like to know that the bank has those things. So that's number one. And then obviously there are various loan products, right? Lines of credit, term loans both for equipment, term loans for perhaps real estate, longer term things. And so, on the one hand, the products are pretty basic, but on the other, again, having somebody that can explain those things to you, that can help make sure you get the things that fit you properly, give you good advice, be your advocate. So my job is a liaison. I'm the go-between between the bank, the decision makers, the people that say yes or no to a loan request, and the client. I have to represent the bank to the client. I have to represent the client to the bank. I'm right in the middle of that. When I say I mean your relationship manager. And that, Dan talks about the relationship, and that is totally critical. And here's the thing. Almost every bank you talk to is going to say, oh, yes, we're a relationship bank. Very few actually pull that off. But that was what I learned, pretty much my first day in banking almost 40 years ago was your job is not to sit there behind the desk and somebody comes to you and they ask for something and you say yes or no. That is not your job. Your job is to understand what they're asking for, understand what their needs are, give them good advice, give them good counsel. And if you have to say no to what they're asking for, then you need to say, no, we can't do what you've asked for, but this is what we can do.
Here, what we can offer you.
And if we can't do this today, this is what you need to do to put yourself in a position so we can do that for you down the road. So my job, again, is to take advantage of that opportunity with that client, to start that relationship on day one, that very first conversation, and you build on it. And again, a relationship, it's an easy word, but it's a good, meaningful, authentic, deep relationship. I had a customer once, I hope I can say this. I had a customer once tell me that I knew more about what was in his underwear drawer than he did. Okay. Your relationship with your banker needs to be, you're as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you're sharing a lot of information with your customer. You don't talk about everybody with, hopefully you're not talking about that with everybody. But the banker does need to know that. So that relationship is built on trust. There's going to be a lot of transparency, or there needs to be a commitment to, hey, we are both committed to having no surprises in this relationship. I, as the bank, am not going to spring something on you. Like Dan told me a story. He was at a closing table one time. The deal put in front of him, he had to call off the deal because The deal that was in front of him was not the deal that he had been sold, that he had been told, this is what I got for you.
Wow.
And you get to the closing table and that's not it. That's called a really bad surprise. And our job, my job as a banker, is not to ever pull any kind of a surprise on you. As soon as I know something, good or bad, that if it impacts you, I need to share that information.
And I can give testament that Paul does, and everything he's saying is how he has represented me and our as a banking partner. He's been a teacher. He has gone to fight on my behalf. He fights for the bank because that's his job, but he fights for his clients. But so Paul, as we're talking about this though, give me three things. Give us three things. The people that are listening, give them three things that they have to, that's essential for them when it comes to banking. Like, for example, why should I put my money in a bank and not put it in a safe? I mean, I don't make any interest. If for most banks, when you put your money in a savings account, a regular savings account, it doesn't really grow. So what's the difference between putting it in a bank and putting it in a safe? What's the difference with the banking relationship? How should I manage that account so that when you guys look at the account, you see that we are a viable entity and or that's worthy, or not for the sake of worthy, that warrants your attention when it comes to the things that we're asking for. So give us some insight, three tips that we should follow as it pertains to choosing our bank and managing our bank relationship.
Well, if it's okay, I'll just kind of answer that open-ended question that the way it occurs to me. Obviously I would never recommend you put your money under your mattress or in the safe at home. It's pretty hard to send an electronic payment to somebody in another state, if you don't have a deposit relationship with the bank. So I think the biggest things again is to know what's important to the bank, right? So you're going to manage your account responsibly and professionally. You're not going to incur overdrafts. Really, ideally, just like as I would tell an individual, you probably want to have at least 3 to 6 months of your bills, of your ongoing, your overhead, what your costs are, on deposit in liquid funds. You don't want to be going from hand to mouth your entire financial life. You want to have a cushion built in there. You need to have some wiggle room in that checking account for the payment didn't come on. Somebody promised you a payment on Wednesday, and here it is Wednesday, and it didn't come yet. And now it's going to be Friday, and then it's going to be Tuesday or whatever. And I guess that makes me think of another thing. You need to know your customers. You need as an entrepreneur, you should not have the goal of just taking any old business that comes along. You need to know what is it that I'm offering? What's the value proposition that I'm offering to my customers? And how and what's that worth, right? So what am I providing to you, and am I getting compensated appropriately for what I'm providing you? So you need to really know what that is. What is your value proposition? What makes you different from all the other people doing whatever it is that you're doing? And then you need to be getting paid properly. That's a really important thing that some business owners, honestly, they could be very successful for many years, and they never really figure that out. They think that they just need to grow constantly. They'll take business wherever it comes from. I'll just give a quick example. Somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, we just landed Walmart for a customer." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Do you know how hard it is to deal with Walmart, right? Or a Costco or some of these big companies? You better know what you're doing if you're going to take one of those companies on as your client. So that's just a good example, because they want extraordinary payment terms. They're going to whittle you down to the narrowest of margins. They're going to demand all sorts of things from you. And all of a sudden you realize you're doing all this work and you get all these people busy, but you're not making any money. So hopefully that'd be one thing, right? Know your product, know your service. What's the value proposition? What's it worth? Why am I different than other people? That's very important. So if you come to me asking to borrow money for your business and you can't tell me that, and I can't come away understanding why do I think this is going to work, that's going to be a problem. That make sense?
Yeah.
another thing you need to know about your bank is, what's the personality of the bank? How big is the bank? How do they operate? Amor and I were talking just a little bit, Dan, before you got on. There were over 19,000 banks in this country when I started doing this in 1986. Today, there are about 4,500 banks. All that consolidation means banks are getting bigger and bigger because of regulations. And many banks, you'd have a hard time finding my equivalent in that bank to talk to and have a relationship with about a business loan. A lot of people think they go into a bank branch and they sit down and talk to somebody about a business loan, and they don't realize 99% of the time they're talking to a retail banker, a personal banker. That person might be able to do some $50,000 worth of business loans, or maybe a little bit more than that, but there's not going to be any underwriting involved. They're probably not going to understand business very well. They're not going to be able to add value to you as a trusted advisor. So you need a business banker. You need a relationship banker. You need someone whose job it is to know business, to know your business, to get to know your business, and to help you in that. And so that's very hard to find at any of the bigger banks. And really many of them have actually abandoned what we might be calling the small business market. They don't even pay any attention to it. So that's number two, right? How big is this bank? What kind of how do they target their customers? What is in their sweet spot? What are they really looking for in terms of a customer for themselves? They're not all created equally. And so then I think the first thing we already said was, just as far as being responsible, knowing your financial situation. If you're not terribly financially literate or don't have a lot of experience, admit it. Don't come in like you know everything and then be disappointed when you don't get what you want. If you know some things, that's great. But if you don't, just say, hey, help me. I don't know these things. I'd like to learn. And I think that'd be something that would be a helpful to a new business or a young business owner.
Wow.
This has been amazing. Thank you.
Lot of wisdom. We got to bring Apostle Paul back, because
we do.
we just scratching the surface. We told him we were going to be done at 12:30. Y'all know we are about that time. But we definitely, Paul, will you come back and spend a little bit more time with us?
I'd be happy to.
So we're definitely going to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank
First
you.
Merchants, listen, First Merchants in Munster, Indiana. First Merchants Bank in Munster, Indiana is where you can connect with, I call him the Apostle Paul. I'm going to tell y'all why eventually, but that's where you can connect with him. Amor, hey, listen, we're in this marathon.
Let's go. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking, I think, insurance and building wealth and all of that. So I can't wait to hang out and hear that and get some more information. This has been amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Listen, you guys, stay with us, continue to follow, continue to like, continue to share. Because guess what just happened? Y'all just been bossed up.
And that wraps up another empowering episode of Boss Up. Join Dan D. Johnson and Shana Amor on the next episode of Boss Up. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow Dan and Shana on all social media platforms for more insights and inspiration to boss up your life. Until next time, remember to keep shining, keep grinding, and always boss up.